Bad news for the Red Wolves. A-State's leading returning rusher, Devin Spencer, out for the year. Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day, on time today. Sorry about yesterday. Issues out of my control. All right, we'll talk more early storylines. We were a little bit on the positive side. What if things go wrong for the Sunbelt? That won't be great. And did the Cajuns get AP votes or did they not? Someone made a mistake. But the lead story comes from our friend Kerry Ritchie out of Jonesboro. Devin Spencer, the leading returning rusher for Arkansas State, and original Red Wolf. Everybody's in the from the portal these days. He led the Red Wolves with in rushing last year, and Kara found out from Butch Jones that Devin is out for the year. Injured himself in a non-contact drill before camp started. He had 574 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I think he caught a few balls as well. Can't really see too well without my glasses. 13, oh no, I'm sorry, that's the games. 25 catches, 125 yards, no touchdowns. All right. For what it's worth, Fun Belt Sports had a Kenyon Clay as Arkansas State's number 1 running back, or the Sun Belt's number 1 running back, for that fact of matter. Sorry about that. And Devin Spencer was number 5. So that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Now somebody else is going to get a shot. And according to the 2 Deep, also for what it's worth, they also had Kenyon Clay, portal, I believe, out of Southern Miss, as the lead running back. Devin Spencer was a second team, but those guys are going to be interchangeable at the time. Now, Corey Reddick, does he move up? Ezel Jolly, does he move up? And Nasir Allen, does he move up? They actually have a handful of running backs at that point in time. Allen is a redshirt freshman, pretty good size, 5'11", 174 pounds. That's not bad size for a freshman. But obviously these injuries are what you deal with. It is easier to deal with this. Disappointing, but these coaches you got to be prepared for it. And we always talk to the coaches about being prepared for the quarterback going down, but that's why you need a 2 deep for the offensive line, almost a 3 deep for the defensive line, because those guys are rotated in and out depending on the down and who's playing well. Whereas very rarely do you see the left tackle being rotated in and out. It may get somebody in there, trying to get them some reps. But for the most part, your offensive line is your offensive line. But if somebody goes down, you have to have them ready. Whereas a running back or wide receiver, and we'll get to the wide receiver issue here for the Cajuns in a minute, everyone's going to be playing, right? There's very few. Even like Frank Gore Jr. was getting like 30 carries a game. It's basically 15 to 20. Someone's getting half of that, and then someone may get a quarter of that. Usually it's a 3-headed monster, and you may have a third down back who can catch it out of the backfield and maybe does a little bit better job of picking up pass blocking. So a bad blow to begin the training camp for Arkansas State. Remember, who do they got, by the way, now that we're looking at the 2 deep for, if I can find it here, for Arkansas State? They do have Trey Owens as the quarterback. I think we probably talked about that. And Ethan Crawford as their backup as of right now. Okay. So that's where they are as of right now. Drew Dickey is the 3rd string in Jonesboro. As for the Cajuns wide receiver, not only is 1 guy down, but 2 is down. We told you about Shelton Sampson. he started out the camp. I mean, they didn't, same like Devin Spencer, they didn't even get to camp and he was hurt. He had a hyperextended knee. So he's going to be out for a minute or two, but he may be able to be back for the season opener Labor Day weekend. All right. The other guy, Landon Strother, I think he's got a broken bone. I think he's got a broken collarbone. Let me see if I can look that up here real quickly. Yes, that's correct. Strother did have a collarbone surgery, out 4 to 6 weeks. So maybe mid-September, right? If this happened last week, you still got, what do we got? 3 weeks for the season? If this happened last week, you still have 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for the season, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks is the 25th of September. So you'd miss 3 ball games. Could be back for the 25th, but maybe back for Sunbelt play. Okay. But you have the ex-wide receiver in Shelton out, and you have the Z wide receiver in Strother out. And according to Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, let me just read this report here. I had it somewhere. They also have a couple of other injuries. Linebacker Caleb Edwards suffered a partially torn MCL, and he's expected to miss 6 weeks. And let's see, Trenton Chaney, another wide receiver, dealing with a shoulder injury. They do start the season September 5th against Lamar, and then, of course, USC is in there. So Strother had actually been practicing in non-contact drills before he had the surgery. I think he was hurt. Then when they were figuring out what to do, he was doing drills and now has surgery, and he's out. So, again, this is part of the deal. It's a tough blow for the Cajuns that, 2 of their top 3, wide receivers are out. Hashtag always a bright side guy. Gives a chance for somebody else. You never know who can step up, who can make plays. But, as much as Mike Desimone, relies on that rushing attack to be the main offensive weapon, still got to be able to throw the ball. If you cannot have the threat of throwing the ball, it becomes much easier to stop the run. Obviously, football 101. We'll react to the pass. We're going to try and stop the run. We'll react to the pass, which is much easier than maybe either way, right? And so, tough blow. We'll keep you updated on these injuries as they will surely mount. And again, we mentioned it in yesterday's episode. The injuries always come. All right. Seems like more happened to the Cajuns, but it is what it is. If they can keep Lunch Winfield healthy and that offensive line healthy, which so far so good, they could be in good shape. All right. As we waited for on Monday, the AP poll to come out, after we talked about RJ Young's lack of interest in his own ratings for 138 FBS teams, the Cajuns got 4 votes in the AP poll, or did they? We'll talk about that after we come back, and I tell you about FanDuel and Poncho. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before the first pitch. There are certain players, and we said it before, Ohtani, Kyle Schwarber, it could be Joshua Baez now, where every at-bat feels like something big could happen. That's what makes Daily Dingers fun. You get to back the player you think is ready to go deep that day. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences at FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. And Poncho. Let me tell you about Poncho. If you're like me and you basically live in game day gear during football season, you're going to want to check out Poncho's new game day collection. It's one of those things where it's a performance shirt, but it doesn't look like a performance shirt. Looks clean, sharp, and like something you'd like to actually wear all day. Plus, you get to rep your team in style. And the best part, it's built for real life. Super lightweight, breathable, and comfortable enough so you can throw it on for a full day of tailgating, sitting in the stadium, or just hanging out watching the game with friends without ever feeling like you need to change. And that comes in handy lately here in Louisville because it's been incredibly hot and humid. And what I really like is that you're not stuck with one size fits all situation either. You can dial it in with regular slim or tall, plus short or long sleeves. And if you grab your team's shirt covered by Poncho's Natty Back Guarantee, if your team wins a college football national championship, Poncho will give you a full refund on your purchase. Plus, you get to keep the shirt. You can check out the shirt here. You can see it. We got that JMU Dukes logo on the pocket. All right. And you got the JMU logo on the sleeve. It is a snazzy shirt. I love wearing it. Super comfortable. And like it said, super lightweight and going to come in very handy early on in the season. That's for sure. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/lockedon and enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/lockedon. Head there, drop in your email, and get $10 off and free shipping. And once you try one, you won't stop. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right. So, yesterday's episode was a lot of, doing what RJ Young wanted me to do, right? Engage in something that he just did not look into very long for the Sunbelt, and that was the rankings. And so we had that to go on with, and then we waited for, or his rankings anyways, and then we waited for the AP poll to come out. And it had nobody in the Sun Belt was in the top 25. But we had the Cajuns with 4, and we had JMU with 3. Also receiving votes lists, right? Which was Cajuns had 1 more than Auburn, and JMU had the same amount as Auburn. It really didn't hit me. That was a little strange, and it probably should have. Like, wow, who thinks this highly of the Cajuns? And, a lot of it's done from the year before. That's what JMU seems to be working off of. They have an outstanding reputation. Remember, Bob Chesney had a lot of turnover on his team, although that he did have his quarterback back. At least the one who was supposed to get the gig. And he won 9 ball games. Then he goes to the college football playoff. Probably not as much turnover as Billy Neighbors had. But, JMU has a reputation. And players, coaches have come and go, and they have continued to win. So it's a well-deserved reputation. A lot like the Jets on the other side of things. A well-deserved reputation. The Cajuns, although Mike Desimone did a fantastic coaching job last year, team was down and out, banged up. Was it Walker Howard? Just did not work out. He was banged up and then didn't play well and never really contributed. They did find lunch. Big win over Marshall. They win their last 4 ball games and go to a bowl game, which they did lose. But there was no sign of them like outside of lunch. And because he's got a great nickname, right? Would he be getting as much? Would they be getting as much publicity if, I think his name is Dwayne, right? His first name is Dwayne. If he just went by Dwayne Winfield, probably not. Just sounds like another guy. But Lunch Winfield is a great name. So it didn't hit me like, wow, why are they getting votes? So they got votes. Looked at the AP, looked at ESPN, everywhere. They got votes. Then they didn't. People were like, calling me or, contacting me, sliding in through the DMs. Did Louisiana get votes or not? I go, I don't know. How would I know? Well, you're the guy or the Sun Belt. I'm like, but I'm not the AP king. Call the AP. So it doesn't look like, as of right now, that the Cajuns got votes, which is a little bit odd because they didn't get one vote. They got 4 votes. So how did they get in there? Because if you look now on the AP website, it's not there. Someone pointed that out to me earlier, and it was still there. So I don't know what they were talking about. What I had gone, if you go to my Twitter feed at SchultzCast and where I put it out there where they got the votes, Cajuns 4, JMU 3, and you hit the link of the AP Top 25, the Cajuns are not there, are not listed anymore. At one point in time, it was the Cajuns 4, JMU 3, but then the Cajuns were listed like ahead of UNLV or something like that. Like doesn't seem to be. Why it wouldn't be in alphabetical order, I do not know. Why wouldn't UNLV, New Mexico, and Georgia Tech, all with 4, be in? Would that be in alphabetical order? I don't know. Are they? No, I don't know why. You would think that would be in alphabetical order. So the Cajuns, which were next to JMU on the list, had moved. They were in front of UNLV. So I saw they were still there, but now they're not. So we're going to get a comment from the AP apologizing or whatever the case was, because somewhere along the way, we will get the list of AP voters. That's what I was looking forward to seeing. They do release that. I don't know if it's AP itself, but the list of voters, we get the list of voters and how they voted. So we'll find out who voted for JMU, and I was going to say the Cajuns, but it doesn't feel like we're going to find out who voted for the Cajuns or why that happened. All right. By the time you guys see this, we'll probably hear something back from AP, but I hadn't seen it yet. So a little bit disappointing, although not terribly surprising. Cajuns may be good, but who's voting for them? That's what I wanted to know, right? Because it did catch me a little bit off guard. Like Troy wasn't, right? ODU didn't get votes. I will say there are some teams, Auburn's got 3 votes, Auburn's got 3, JMU's got 3. Liberty's only got 1. Virginia Tech only has 6 votes. I mean, we'll see. Could ODU pull that one off again? That would be amazing. You do have Missouri getting 25. They're 25th. So again, we'll see who wins and who loses. I don't think Missouri's got a very tough schedule to begin with. So let me see if it's over here. Yeah, they got Arkansas, Pine Bluff. They do have Kansas. So that's not exactly, they're not exactly going to roll over them, I don't think. But that Troy game could be interesting. All right. Although it does say, let me see here. AP could be wrong. Let me see here. Hold on a second, because I have this wrong. Troy's football schedule. No. Troy is at Missouri. AP has them at Troy. They have it back. They have it backwards. So, at Arkansas Pine Bluff versus Kansas at Troy. Maybe they just have it backwards, or maybe I'm reading it backwards. I just needed to check that out because I didn't think Troy was hosting Missouri. We have seen some of that before, more on the basketball side, where the Power 4 schools coming into the Sun Belt. But I just didn't think I'd missed that. So, all right. So that's disappointing, although not surprising that the Cajuns had 4 votes and now they're not there. So we'll see if anybody just removes them, which they have, and if we get any explanation why that happened. All right, let's take a time out. We'll come back and talk about what happens if things don't go right. Because that could happen as well. All right. We try to be as positive as possible. What happens if things go the wrong way? Talk about that right after I tell you about Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple, with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive savings opportunities that help you get to the events you want without the usual hassle. There's just something different about being there live, whether it's the crowd reaction, the energy in the building, or a moment that everyone experiences together. It's one of those things that doesn't fully translate through a screen. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. What happens if things don't go right for the Sun Belt? It's going to be a long season if that happens, right? And so the Sun Belt actually kicks off. Georgia State kicks them off. Nothing on week 0, if you will, for the Sun Belt. Georgia State hosts North Carolina A&T. All right, that's a 6 p.m. game time on a Friday night. Nothing like having a Friday night ball game at 6 p.m. in Atlanta. What's going on there? That's a good idea. Anyway, can't lose that football game. Georgia State's got to win that football game, right? And then again, okay, we think Marshall's got a shot, right? I think JMU's going to win. I don't think Coastal has much of a shot, but they could against West Virginia, all right? But Southern Miss can't lose against Old State. Old Dominion can't look past Norfolk State, all right? Same with Troy and Sam Houston. We think South Alabama has a shot against Kentucky, but then don't lose to Southeastern. You get Georgia Southern against Charleston Southern. Arkansas State's on the road to Memphis. La Tech hosting Northwestern State. I mean, ULM is going to lose to Mississippi State, right? Cajuns going to beat Lamar, we think, all right? But what happens if none of these big wins happen, all right? If Marshall, plays Penn State tough, but comes up short, which would surprise nobody. Disappoint, but not surprise, right? Virginia Tech should beat Old Dominion. Do we have, you see, we're not going to get a line for that game yet. Didn't we see that Penn State line is that Penn State line like 25 points? Did we see that? Penn State over Marshall by 25. But so what happens if some of these things don't happen? What happens if ULM and Georgia State getting blown out? And we're going to get a big I told you so is what's going to happen, which is what we don't really want, obviously. So hopefully those things do not happen. And you could have, a Marshall team that plays really well and maybe the Cajuns come up short, that kind of thing. You could have both situations. But I think it is important for the Sun Belt, obviously, to see if they can pull off one of those, upsets. Georgia State is a 27.5 point favorite against North Carolina A&T. Yeah, they better not lose. So I'm just looking for the mark. I thought that Penn State ball game was like 25.5 points. My Orange are 32.5 point favorites. JMU, a touchdown favor, 6.5 over Liberty. This game, this hasn't changed much at all. Mountaineers are 21.5 points over Coastal Carolina. We'll see what happens a little bit later on. How about Ohio State? 15.5 points over Ball State. Jeez. Still looking for this Penn State game. How about Oregon? 24.5 points over Boise. Marshall, there it is, 24.5 points. So Penn State is 24.5 point favorites over Marshall. And then we have, wasn't that like, let me see. Yeah, 4,000. Penn State's a minus 4,000 on the money line. Marshall plus 1,400. Yeah, that may be worth it. That may be worth it. Just important for somebody to do something early on in the Sun Belt. Doesn't necessarily have to be week 1 or week 2, although I do think ODU is going to have a shot against Vatech. We're not going to get that line until after the second week. And then we'll see how good Troy is, and we'll see how good Missouri is. And injuries will play a part of this as well. So a ton of potential early storylines for the Sun Belt. Does one of the new quarterbacks stick out? Does Trey Owens stick out for Arkansas State? Does Trevor with an E stick out for Coastal Carolina? All kinds of possibilities. A different wide receiver step up for the Cajuns. Different running back step up for Arkansas State. Who's the quarterback for JMU? All kinds of possibilities. And even when something is negative, I try to spin it positively. Find it hard to believe that people think I root against the Sun Belt. I root for the best outcome for the Sun Belt. Now, some teams may not like that because I'm rooting for I don't have a problem admitting that. I'm going to root what's best for the Sun Belt because that ends up being what's best for the podcast. So I'm going to end up rooting what's best for the Sun Belt, not necessarily rooting against your team. All right. I'll even do hashtag always a bright side, right? That, Marshall couldn't have get a stop would have been nice against the Cajuns, but boy, Marshall fans were apoplectic in that ball game. And, I tried to say, hey, slow down a little bit. You got your quarterback, which, oh goodness, they do. Preseason offensive player of the year. Funny how that turns out. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for your patience. I do appreciate it. We're going to continue, hopefully, with quarterbacks being named somewhere along the way. Did see Craig Stevenson say that's as hot as an event, the South Alabama scrimmage that he's had. He smelled the rubber melting on the turf. That's not great. And Major Applewhite said, if we do have a game on the surface of the sun, we will be well prepared. So if they play on a hot day, it could be hot here in Lexington in the middle of September. That's for sure. That's a 12:45 Eastern time game. They should be ready. We did apply for press credentials, so hopefully we'll be all set with that. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Sunbelt here on YouTube. And also don't forget about those audio podcasts, Apple and Spotify. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.